Okay, yes, I freely admit that the title of this video is awfully clickbaity, but in my defense, he started it. Blame him. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers. BionicDance here. So apparently, every last one of us is stupid, we atheists. That's a bold assertion, and not a particularly kind one. Does this fellow have the stones to back it up? Let's see.
You can surround yourself maybe with some other individuals that oppose God. And you can be a bunch of fools talking about how intelligent you are. You know, you can always get somebody to think you're smart if you're the same kind of stupid as they are.
Wow, that didn't take long, did it? Gosh, I sure hope I don't have to use the irony meter more than once this video. I don't know about you, but I've never been at an atheist gathering where people are going, wow, we're smart. We're so smart. Aren't we smart? Yeah, we're smart. Granted, we might point at theists and say, golly, they're stupid. But then again, many atheists have been God-botherers at some point in their lives, probably even most atheists, so many of us will freely admit that being stupid is hardly a requirement for religious belief. I should probably make a Dunning-Kruger meter, too. It could come in handy, and probably explode just as often.
No, friend. You just segregated yourself with people that would confirm the same things that you're confirming for them. You've got yourself a support group of fools.
Aw, shit. You see it coming, don't you?
What is the benefit of unbelief? What is the reward for unbelief, then? If we can't come up with a benefit.
Hell.
Hell.
The benefit of unbelief? Well, aside from taking the universe on its own terms instead of inserting wishful thinking about gods and an afterlife, not a lot, I guess. But think about what he's saying here. He isn't saying that religion is the truth. He's just trying to say that it's better. This isn't a description of reality. It's a sales pitch.
You ever met an unbeliever that didn't know the Bible? They all know it completely, right? Every bit of it.
I don't know where this fellow's been, which atheists he's talked to, but there were a very large number of atheists who've read the Bible and found it, at best, unconvincing, if not thoroughly absurd. Personally, I couldn't get through it. I read up to 2 Kings and just plain had enough. I've read some pretty shitty books in my life, and the Bible is up in the top 3.
Hey, try this next time you have somebody who's an unbeliever that says he's read the Bible and that's why he doesn't believe in God. Give him references. Romans chapter 1 talks about Romans 1:21. Well, I don't have that verse memorized. Well, what about the chapter? What about the chapter? Well, I don't remember that chapter in particular. What about the book?
Oh, I see. It's not enough to have read the book. You have to have memorized it. And that's the standard to which we hold everybody and to every book. I'm not allowed to be a fan of or even understand, say, Stranger in a Strange Land, because I can't be asked chapter, paragraph, and sentence and be able to give it to you exactly, word for word. Apparently. Or how about the logical fallacies? There's a big, long list of reasons why certain arguments fail and how to point that out. Problem is, many of the names of these fallacies are in Latin, and the ones that are in English are often counterintuitive. To make matters worse, I have a cavernous malformation in my left mesial temporal lobe, which, in addition to epilepsy, often causes names and faces, words and definitions to become disconnected from each other. In other words, I understand the concept of the logical fallacies, but I won't necessarily know which is which from the label we've given them. Does this mean I'm not allowed to comment on people's arguments because I don't have that list memorized? I don't fucking think so. And people can have read the Bible and decided it was garbage without having memorized the fucking thing.
And just go from book to book of the Bible, these people that know the whole Bible, and that's why they don't believe in God. And the Bible's got mistakes in it all the way through. And just ask them questions about the Bible. They've never read it.
I don't know anybody who just says the Bible has mistakes through and through. They usually know the mistakes. Those are the bits of the Bible they have memorized. The problem is that this guy wants to use a common, I've seen it a lot, and very dishonest tactic, dominating the conversation with leading questions. And he probably answers questions with questions too, without addressing the point brought up by the other side. If someone brings up the scientific impossibility of Noah's flood, or the complete and utter lack of archaeological evidence of Jews in Egypt, I wonder what he does. How does he answer? I'd be willing to wager a lot that he evades the biblical inaccuracies just as hard as he possibly can, trying to put the atheist back on the defensive.
You don't know the power of God. What is the power of God? You think God is, oh no, He can't be God, because what do you do when a woman has 7 husbands and goes to heaven? And the husbands are in heaven. And God resigns.
Where did that argument come from? I've never heard that before. I mean, yeah, it sounds a bit awkward, but even if it happened, that would never be an argument against God. It might be that if a God does exist, it's not the one described in your holy book, but it's not an argument that no gods are real. A more common argument is the serial killer who repents right before going to the electric chair and ends up in heaven, while the kind and charitable atheist ends up in hell, and how that makes God rather less than all-loving. But that's not an argument that a God doesn't exist. It's just an argument that your God doesn't exist. At least, not the God you think is real anyway. And it's a reason why I've rejected your religion, and contrary to what Christians like to think, theirs is just one puddle in the swamp of theism.
That is the spirit of dripping sarcasm in which Jesus answers them. It's like, well, maybe I'm not the Son of God then.
I don't actually have a new argument here. I just thought that bit was funny and had to share.
If you've never received Jesus as your Savior, then you have eternal separation from God. But friend, it's eternal separation from God in a place called hell. And you'll be forever God's enemy, and you'll be forever judged by God in a permanent fashion, in a permanent way, in hell.
This is just more sales pitch stuff. He's showing us the logo on the front of the jar, but there's no ingredients on the label. Before we decide that preventing eternal separation from God is worth the purchase, you're gonna have to show us that God is real. I know you want us to do it the other way around, but no smart shopper is gonna buy the suit without trying it on first.
If you came here today because you believe God's not fair because He did or this happened, and your reason for being here is that you're going to prove that He doesn't have the right. Let me just simply say this to you. Jesus is God. And unbelief never gets an answer that's satisfactory.
That doesn't even make sense. Someone tells you God doesn't have the right to fuck them over, and your reply is that the Son of God is God. How does that address the issue in any way at all? And he doesn't say that the person who would make this accusation is an atheist, but it sure does fit the Christian stereotype of the angry atheist, the one who really does believe in God, but is just grumpy at the way their life turned out. The only people perpetuating that myth are Christians.
You come with a heart's attitude of unbelief, and you won't find an answer. But I want to tell you something, the answer was sufficient to the rest, and they were warned.
Unbelief and refusal to believe are not the same thing. But if a prerequisite to belief is starting out believing, well, that seems a bit redundant, doesn't it? And he says that no answers will be satisfying. 1, how does he know that? And 2, we're back to the sales pitch. Okay, granted, I can think of worlds better than the real one in which I'd prefer to reside, but believing in them doesn't mean I'll get to live in them. The closest I'll ever come is video games. Satisfaction is not more important than reality. The real world might bite you in the ass once in a while, but clinging to false beliefs is you taking down your trousers and painting a target on your left cheek, then wiggling about chanting, "Nya, nya, you can't touch me." Dumbass. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please, think.